This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO Radio is back on the air. We're on YouTube. We're on social, all over the place, because we've got three-time NHRA Funny Car Champ Matt Hagan, first-time Amalie Oil NHRA Gatornationals winner, going to be joining us just seconds from now. But something that made it extra special was it was the first win for Tony Stewart Racing in the NHRA. Big deal for Hagan. He was super excited. We're going to talk to him just seconds from now. But I want to shout out to the people who make it possible for me to go WFO. You just heard from VP Racing Fuels. We are welcoming them this month for WFO sponsorship and appreciate what they got going on, whether it be racing fuel for your race car or hobby car, small engine fuels, car care products, fuel additives, lubricants. They got it all. And we're going to tell you a little bit more each week about VP Racing Fuel. Thanks to VP for joining WFO Radio. And Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. New episode of Hidden Horsepower getting ready to drop. Pro Stock Engine builder Nick Ferry from the PRI show. You're going to love that, but it's all an exercise that you understand that ring seal, it's important. From Stock Eliminator to Formula One, they've got relationships and partnerships they're working on. Why not you? You can go to totalseal.com to find out more information, get the podcast, and they always say it on the show. If you don't listen, give them a call first. I'm thinking about building a 4,000 horsepower streetcar. Can you help me? Yes, they can. Check them out, totalseal.com and FTIperformance.com. Big money bracket racers, pro mod racers, top sportsmen, top dragster, high horsepower, monster truck, mega truck, anything that needs reliable, get the power to the ground with an automatic transmission. FTIperformance.com has got it going on. Welcome to FTI and the Gatornationals. A couple of race winners were running FTIperformance.com. Of course, samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, and Marvin Rodak will tell you about those guys a little bit later. But now let's go out to our funny car winner from the Amalie Oil NHRA Gatornationals in his office, Mr. Matt Hagan. What's up, Matt?
What's up, Joe? How are you, buddy? That list of sponsors is getting longer and longer. That's great, man. I like that.
And you know what? Thank you for recognizing that. And it's because of you and the drivers who have taken a shot on me over the last decade or so and shared your stories and come on willingly to tell the behind the scenes, right? We've been able to survive. And now we're beginning to thrive, and people recognize it. Thank you for saying that, because it means a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad to see it. Its growth is always great, man. And you do a great job, and your show is great. And I always enjoy listening and tuning in. And I only get to get on the show when I win, but I do still listen when I get beat and listen to everybody else talk, So
thank you.
It's cool.
So you saw the interview then that you photobombed with Tony in the winner's circle. What a genuine moment, right? What a genuine moment.
There's a little champagne involved with that a little bit,
I love it. I think that's what we need. We need real, right? That was real. You photobombed the boss.
No, it was cool. The whole weekend was special. Dickie Venerable's birthday, with the first win with TSR, my first Gator National win. I had a friend of mine that had passed, and it's crazy how God works with things, and I got down on my knees and I was like, I'll give all the glory to God if we could win this race, in Phoenix. And we got to the finals and I didn't win, and you kind of shake your fist at him, and it's kind of one of those things where his wife was able to be at the race and at the Gators when we won, and it's just like you think you have plans and God has plans for you, and it's just kind of, I was able to honor him there, and it was just such a special weekend, and his wife being there, and then the TSR first win, and just all around, just a great weekend, and something that you kind of you go, wow, did it really, all the stars and the sun and the moon and all this mess line up? And it was just crazy. I mean, it's like my 14th year at the Gators and my first time winning it, and my 40th career win. And, so it just shows you how sometimes these tracks are just so hard to kind of snag a win at sometimes.
Yeah. And you, it's amazing to think of all the different things, right? Your 40th win, first win for Tony, your first win at the Gators, where you've had some wild rides, including that side-by-side explosion win against Robert that I'll always remember because you jumped out and you're like, who won the race?
Yeah, I was like, it was a mess down here, man. And, I seen Robert kind of like come in behind me and cut around me and then, getting back over in his lane. And Robert's a great driver. And anytime that he's over in your lane, he's got his hands full, and it's just body and parts and fire and everything else was going everywhere. And I was like, well, we've already trashed everything down here. So now all that matters is who won, and I was like, well, did we win or not? Because we were both blowing up in the lights. And man, when you blow one up in the lights like that, it's intense, because you're moving so fast and you're covering so much ground. And then you're just praying that the parachutes come open, and it's just it's one of those things where you get it kind of slowed down. You're going like, man, that was a ride, but it was kind of wild to blow them up side by side like that with Robert.
Yeah. And well, when you said first Gator Nationals win, like I thought about those struggles and how important this race is generally. Like it's the first East Coast race. It's always a packed house. It's on a record-setting track, and it stands above many of the other races. And to see how excited you got. But honestly, though, the first thing that I thought of was Dickie and his recent passing of his dad, right? And he, I know Dickie, pretty well, and I knew that tore him up. And that's something I think we all are worried about and fear. Like if our dads are still with us, and the ones that don't have that, like, are dealing with that pain. And for him to be able to score one, man, it was that was big.
It's huge. Me and Dickie talked this season, and we always, he's so important to what we do, and Dickie, his family and how he's grown up. And, this year's to honor his dad the whole year. It's not just one race, I really, am taking it to heart to do my best to put us in the win column to, win a championship for his dad, and it's just one of those things where, you can say it and it's easy to say, but and really hard to do. But this year is about him and his dad and honoring him and what he's able to do, has done in the, racing industry and what Dickie, the guy that he's brought up and taught to be this, legend of a crew chief, man. I mean, I am so blessed to have Dickie Venables as my crew chief. And people say stuff, but like, I would not trade Dickie for anyone out here. I mean, anyone. You look at our numbers from, last 10 years, and we've won more races than anybody combined in the last 10 years. And that's incredible. I mean, like, when you do that, when you put the numbers up there, I mean, I guess I was honored and blessed to be driver of the decade when, and it was just based off of pure stats, and it's a new decade now. So we're creating new numbers, but it just, our combination together is because of Dickie, man. I mean, like, crew chiefs win races and crew chiefs win championship. Drivers just don't mess it up. You know what I mean? Like, it just, right. You get a chance every now and then to win on a whole shot or a pedal job or something like that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to crew chiefs, man. And I'm just so blessed to have him. And I'm so proud of the man that he is and the man that his dad has raised him to be such a great crew chief, Well,
and it's funny you mentioned that because, like, you ticked off a couple of things that drivers don't normally, right? Like stats and paying attention to stats. I will ask a driver very often, like, did you know that you were this? And they'll say, oh, I don't pay attention to the stats. And after I'm retired, I'll look back at that. But you just like drop some stats on everybody, right? Like big numbers. And I wonder, is there a reason for that? Because I don't think most people know that you've had more wins over the last 10 years than other teams.
Well, there is a reason for that. You're always out here proving yourself. You're always out here trying to be the best that you can be. And the numbers don't lie, man. I mean, if it's a popularity contest, Force wins it all day long. But, at the end of the day, there has to be a new and up and coming. And, I feel like what we have and what we're doing, with the team that we have and the people we have around us, we have an opportunity to reset those numbers. I mean, they'll never be the days of the Force heyday when he, win 10 championships in a row and all that kind of stuff. Those days were, back when the rules were way different and the competition was way different. I mean, it's so competitive right now. It's crazy because these cars are trying to slow them down so much. And there's nobody that's just out here just running away with stuff. I mean, it's every race you have an opportunity to have a new winner in funny car every weekend. And that just shows how strong the competition is out here. So when you can be on top of that and run out front, it just says a lot about your team and the people you have around you. And I've always said, that my success has been because of the people I put around me. And the same with business and life and everything else you do. I mean, my dad, God love him. I mean, he's an incredible businessman, but he has incredible people around him. He has 42 companies and over 900 employees and super successful, but he always tells me, you got to take care of your people and you got to put good people around you and they'll take care of you, and it's just the same with racing, man. I've been so blessed to have a team that Dickie Venables has assembled and, put a race car underneath me. And I've just been able to drive the wheels off of it, man. And it all comes down to people, so it's I just can't, I was so happy when we were able to bring everybody over to TSR, and they got a pay bump and everybody's excited to be there and Tony's excited to be there. And it just, to keep my team together and to know that we're going to do this for a multiple year contract and, Dodge come on board for that. And, just a lot of good stuff happening, man, here at the NHRA.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I think that what you just described extends beyond your team. There's an excitement around NHRA drag racing, and for Tony to want to be involved and to make this investment, I think it's great. He seems to be loving it, by the way. He's having success across all his platforms, but he seems to be loving it. Let's talk a little bit about the semifinal and the final round. No disrespect to Dave Richards and Terry Haddock. You got down the racetrack ahead of both of them, but kind of they didn't turn out to be the matchups that we expected. Terry didn't get to even stage. But then Chad Green, right? Here's a guy, you talk about fresh blood. Here's a guy, businessman, successful, loves it, and he's investing, and he's going faster and quicker and getting better. That was not an easy one. He gave you a run to get to the final.
Well, it's kind of crazy. All the heavy hitters kind of went out early, and a lot of that has to do with the weather conditions and being able to pull the race car back. Like, we had the shortest rods we could get in there and the highest, thickest gasket we could put on it. And we still smoked the tires first round. And I was just able to do a pedal job to get us down through there. But at the end of the day, I mean, we had a real opportunity to go home first round as well. I mean, just like a lot of the heavy hitters did. And it just is one of those things where it was just a wild race because we had never seen those conditions and we weren't prepared to have that, type of power to pull it back. These cars are sometimes easier to push forward and run harder, and these fast cars are harder to kind of like reel them back in. And, we were doing everything we could other than unplugging a magneto to try to slow this thing down to where, it would get down the racetrack. And Dickie Venables did a great job as far as, getting the car dialed in, after a couple rounds and really getting, I felt like the semis and the finals, we really had our race car back, to where we needed to be. But, it's crazy how much power these things make in those conditions. And that's why I think you saw a lot of these kind of upsets, during that weekend, because a lot of these guys were, that were usually normally heavy hitters that you kind of like, you expect them to win kind of thing. They couldn't get it reeled in,
Absolutely. Now, that number 11,000 horsepower, like they got to be making 12 in that kind of weather conditions. And everybody said that the chart, right? Like there's an actual chart to help with guiding the tune. And these conditions were genuinely off the chart. Off the chart. Like that's where that comes from. Yeah. Pretty amazing. Final round, Blake Alexander, Jim Head. Wow. Like the emotions. You've got a friend that passed away. They've got the whole Dylan Cromwell nightmare, just so much energy, right? Like either way it went, it was going to be like an outburst of positive energy. What's it like getting ready for a final like that, where you can't let any of that into your mind?
Well, you do let that in your mind, I mean, you're always thinking about everything. And the worst thing you can do up there is think, right? Like I guess I do a good job leaving because you don't think up there. But when you get to thinking about stuff, that's when you start to mess up. And I couldn't see the tree, to be honest with you. It was such the way that the sun was setting and on the tree. I was, I thank God that the bulbs were blue to stage the car so I could see that part. And then I just kind of like, I couldn't see if he was in or not. So I was like, well, I'll just pull down on my light and just look for it to come on, but you're thinking like, if you're thinking about the light or you can't see it, then you're probably going to be late. But I felt like I caught it pretty good. And, and then you're just racing the race car. But up on top end with Blake, it was very, very emotional. He was crying, I was teared up, and I wanted to win for them guys as much as I wanted to win for me, just because I knew how emotional it was and how hard they had worked to get to the finals. And that team hadn't been to the finals in a long time. And so I understand as a competitor, the level the emotion and the level of adrenaline and the level of all that's into play, and how bad he wanted it for his team, and how bad that, you know, it was there, and, you know, those moments. But, you know, it was just our day, and we had a great race car, and, you know, it was one of those things where it's meant to be for us as well, you know, and I was able to honor Larry Hudson, you know, and you know, come back there and his wife be there at the track, and, you know, and just
tell me about Larry, because tell me about Larry. Who's Larry to you? What's the connection? We hear, you know, there's someone important. Let's find out about them.
Yeah. Larry is my PR gal. She does all my social media and stuff. It was her dad. He died of you know, of cancer, prostate cancer. It went to his bones, and within 6 or 8 months, it was so progressive and so fast, and you know, just basically, you know, just overwhelming, you know, real quick. You know, had hip surgery, and then, you know, radiation, chemotherapy, and just a downward spiral really fast. And his daughter that does my social media, she's 28 years old, just turned 29. It was her birthday that weekend as well. And you know, so just between Dickie's birthday, her mom being there, us winning the race, it was just, you know, my 40th win, and it was just seemed like it was just meant to be. But you know, and like I said, you know, he passed away there that Phoenix weekend, and, you know, you kind of one of those things where you're like, you're going to the final and you're like, I'm going to get to do this, but it didn't happen there. But it was nice that they were all there, and we were able to really kind of just have that moment together, and really kind of honor and celebrate his life, you know, together, and be able to give his mom the winter circle hat, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it was just a good weekend, man. It's something that was meant to be.
Yeah, it was a good weekend, especially after all the fans had put through to just stick around, the cold, the rain, the mud, to be able to get out of there, you feeling the way you just described, right? Like that's what this sport is all about. But let's look forward now. Four-Wide Vegas. Here we go. Four-Wide. You've had an adventure at the Four-Wides. You've won in Charlotte. You've had a lot of different stuff. So where's your mind go when you think about getting ready for Four-Wide?
I don't know, man. I don't even know what about Four-Wide. It's such a mess up there, you know what I mean? We've done it for a while now, and so but it's still, everything we do in drag racing is about repetition, right? It's about doing the burnout the same, and keeping the clutch, you know, like backing up the same, and how long you're out on the clutch, and just staging the car, and how long you've been out on the pedal, and everything is about consistency, repetition, and doing the same everything every time. And Four-Wide throws that all out the window, man. And you know, it's just, you're looking at different numbers, and where's my stage globe at, and this and that. And, you know, it makes you really focus as a driver. I mean, I've done everything from, you know, stage the car and not stage the car, to red light there, to win the race, to, you know, and my guy screaming over the radio, go, you know what I mean? It's just a chaotic, crazy event. So you throw your helmet in the hat there or whatever, and just hope for the best. But I feel good about it, man. I really do. We're coming off of a semifinal, a final, and a win, you know. So, you know, we got a great race car. Dickie does really well as far as tuning at Vegas. You know, 2 years ago, we won the world championship there. You know, runner up last year. And I feel good, man. I'm in such a good headspace this year. I've just never have been in a space to where I'm so confident, so collected, and there's no trauma in my life. And I'm just in a place where I'm showing up, and I'm ready to snatch souls up, man. I'm ready to go win, you know what I mean? It's just like, we're here to do this. We have a great team owner. We have a great team. My guys are happy to be coming to work. I mean, you know, people don't know this, but I mean, last year I gave up my bonus to my guys to keep them on board, you know. I mean, like, just to have them there, you know, and I just, you know, I had guys wanting to quit left and right, and you know, it's not something that you talk about, but it's a reality, you know, and it's something I can talk about now. But it was, you know, I had several guys that were going to quit me, and you know, those guys have earned my trust, and they earned, you know, my trust of my life. You know, I trust them with that, and that's a big thing. And I needed them there. You know, I mean, we run it up to caps, but there was always this opportunity for some of these guys to not be there. And I just, you know, money motivates everyone, right? And so I told them, I set them down, and I said, you know, guys, just stay with me till the end of the year, man. Like, you know, and whether we win the championship, we lose it, whatever it is, whatever my bonus is, I gave it to my team, you know what I mean? And that's just to keep them there, you know what I mean? So, you know, now moving forward with TSR, they're in a great place. They're getting paid well, and they're happy to be there, man. So that mentality, that morale, is great, man. Like, I mean, and that changes a lot of things when you walk in there and you got guys that got smiles on their face because they're getting paid what they deserve to be there, and they're having a good time, and they want to show up and work, and they want to make sure that you're taken care of. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, the atmosphere is different. So I mean, it says a lot, you know. So it's everybody's ready to go racing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Marvin Rodak from Rodak's Coffee out there saying congratulations. What's up, Marvin? How you doing out there? Yeah, our buddy, right? Like you've known Marvin for a long time, and Bobby Graham, one of our listeners way back in the day. Talk a little bit about you know, the TSR bump, whatever you want to call it, right? Good for the sport because why? A new guy comes in and buys a team, and now he's out there, Tony Stewart, fresh eyes, fresh energy, has kind of run through and enjoyed every motorsport, comes to drag racing, falls in love with it. What's your perspective? He says that you're like on it as a driver, pushing, going faster. That his assessment of you. What's your assessment of him?
You know, Tony is a great guy. You know, I never knew what to think about Tony. You know, I've never met Tony. Never really followed circle track. I mean, it was one of those things where, you know, you hear about those guys, and, you know, I'm so focused on straight lining and nothing against them. I just didn't ever have time to really follow it too much. And, you know, I know Tony was a legend in his own right with 3 championships, and, you know, I just didn't know how to take him or what to expect. But, you know, this is a guy that, you know, could be doing anything he wants to do. And he's over here and like in my pit with, you know, doing a power ranking of towel whipping with my crew guys. You know, it's like, I was like, he comes out and his arms are black and blue. And I'm going like, what's going on, man? He's like, we got to build some camaraderie, man. He's like, we guys got to know that I can towel whip them better than they can towel whip me. And he's like, we got a power ranking now. And I was like, you're crazy, man. You know, but he has that same mentality of team and unity and you know, and working together and building that camaraderie. And as a competitor, that's amazing to me. Like, he was crawling underneath my car even before he owned our team and was like, hey dude, get up on the wheel, let's go do driver stuff. He's like, let's get this round done, let's make this happen. And that's motivation, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of stuff that when you put your mouthpiece in, you're like, let's go to battle, man, let's go do this, you know what I mean? And as you know, as a team owner, I think he's going to be great, but genuinely just a good dude, man. Like, really wholesome, just very methodical, not going to just do something to do it, not just going to throw my money away, but like, let's plan this out, let's make this happen, let's do it the right way. But a businessman, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't want to lose any money doing this. You know, I don't really care if I make any money. He's like, but let's go have fun racing. You know what I mean? Like, let's make sure that we can put the sponsors around you. We can do this right. And he was like, I want you to show up and just think about driving a race car, nothing else, not about sponsors, not about this or that. Just come drive and do the best job and be the best driver you can be for me. And that's amazing, man. Like, I've never had that in my career ever. And, you know, it's like, I'm always worried about bringing money to the table. I've always had to go out here and find new things and, you know, New Holland and my dad's company and our family's money and different things like that to be in the seat, you know, and it's nice to know that you got a group of people that are working hard behind the scenes to bring money to the table to where you just got to show up and drive and be the best driver you can be, and not really so much focus on all the B2B stuff behind the scenes as a driver as well, which I think a lot of people don't realize how much stuff goes on behind the scenes to drive one of these things, to keep the money flowing and keep the sponsorships going and finding money to be out here, because it's so much work. It's another job on itself that these guys do. And I commend everyone in NHRA that is out there doing it and putting stuff together and making those relationships. I mean, because it's hard to do a lot of days. And there's a lot of times that you get turned down and a lot of no's and a lot of stuff that you know, there's so many excuses nowadays with COVID and everything else for these companies not to spend money. So when you put a relationship together and a deal together that they can come out and put it on a race car, it's a big thing, you know, and that's why it's such a big thing for TSR and for Tony Stewart to come over here into NHRA. And I really truly hope that NHRA doesn't miss the boat with this. That they need to promote Tony being here and how big it is for our sport, because it's huge, man. And this is an opportunity that we could really showcase for a lot of different ways and a lot of different opportunities that they need to go out here. This is like the next John Force stepping into NHRA, man. I mean, it really is, you know, and we as a group of, you know, just as a whole, we need to promote that. Not just because he's my boss, you know what I mean? It's because it's so good for our sport, and it says a lot for our sport that someone of that caliber wants to come over here and be a part. Not just because, you know, he could just be, you know, with his wife there and running a dragster, but he also scooped up a funny car and is running over here. So he wants to be here. He's spending his money to be here. And we need to really figure out a way to make it bigger than life.
Well, exactly. For all of us, right? And if you make a little money while you're doing it, that's a very good thing, because that's how you grow. Before we move on, who was the number 1 ranked towel whipper, and where did Tony fall in the ranking?
I think Tony's right up there, man. Like, I mean, he had a lot of black and blue marks on his arm, like some serious blisters, man. But I stayed out of it, man. So I'm going to say I can't I guess power rank anybody, because I was like going the other way, man. I was like, this is getting nasty fast, and I'm not a very good with towel whipping, so you know, I kind of just sat back and watched a little bit. So you'll have to ask Tony next time you see him.
All right.
Who's got the power ranking on that?
Who's got the power ranking? All right, I got a million questions for you, but I have a feeling you're going to win more races this year, and we'll save some of the business related stuff for then. Good luck, obviously, in Vegas. You got a ton of fans out there. Everybody weighing in. Lauren saying congratulations on your funny car win. Matt, everybody out there just saying what's up and shouting out, which is great. You know, the WFO universe, big fans. Really appreciate it. I'll see you in Vegas. Any final thoughts you want to leave everybody off with before we part ways?
I always just want to thank our fans. You know what I mean? Like, it really truly comes down to our fans. And start early in my career, I didn't realize that as much, but it's every bit about our fans. Like, we cannot do this without our fans showing up and showing out and supporting what we do. And it even comes down to just one person. I mean, for us, it's like, you know, when we get one person to buy a Hellcat, that's massive, you know? So it's just, but it even comes down to the oil and the parts and the pieces and the wrenches and the stuff that we do. And it to show that value back to our sponsors, we can't do it without them. So the folks that listen, the folks that tune in, the folks that love drag racing, the folks that support what we do out here, I just want to say thank you. And you allow us to do, you know, and live our dream and to be blessed and to really kind of go out there and get it done for everybody. So just a big, huge thank you to our NHRA fans that support what we do.
Absolutely. Totally agree. 100%. He said it better than I can. Matt, great job. I'll see you in a few days. Good luck this weekend. And thanks for sharing your victory of the Gator Nationals. Huge one on WFO.
Hey, Joe, appreciate it, man. And let's put this Power Broker car back in the winner's circle so I can talk to you again.
There you go. I like it. I like it. All right, Matt, back to work. See you in a few days.
All right.
Appreciate you. There he goes, Matt Hagan, with us here on WFO Radio. Jay says he's rooting for Matt. Listen, Hagan, the thing is, first of all, the idea that he recognizes he's keeping track of who's sponsoring WFO, like, that means so much to me as someone who is struggling to make it in the world, right? Struggling to make it. You've got choices. You could go to MRN and PRN. You can watch CBS and ABC and all that. And then there's WFO Radio. Total little guy operation. And Matt has been willing to help us come on the show, have long, detailed, in-depth conversations when we were audio-only podcast, before podcasts were even really a thing for a long time. And I appreciate him. And the fact that he's actually watching and keeping track of the competition, even when he's not on the show, is amazing. So thank you, Matt. I appreciate you. And thanks to the folks at Tony Stewart, Nitro, for setting it up. Appreciate that. And he's on. That's the thing about the WFO winner view, right? You earn it, and it's part of winning. And so subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, click the bell, enable those notifications, all of that. Got some other stuff to tell you guys about, and want to definitely get your thoughts and comments about Matt this weekend, Four-Wide. So put your comments in the comments section. Let's keep the conversation going for a few more minutes. But in the meantime, I do want to tell you about a couple of other sponsors who make it possible. As you can see, it's a work in progress, right? I like to break the fourth wall as often as is possible, which that's like a mass media term for this, right? Like, you're part of this. I'm not separated from you by anything. And so I want to let everybody behind the scenes. Yeah. FTI Performance and VP Racing Fuels and Total Seal really jumping in on WFO Radio. And we've got our legacy sponsors like Frank Hawley, who was him and Marvin were our first two sponsors right at the same time over, I think it's been 10 years that Marvin Rodak and Frank Hawley, was really Atlanta, who understood that this was a growing project and that we were going to care about the sport so much that we were going to invest as much time as was taken, as much time as it would take to grow this WFO into something that might, who knows, what we're looking at right now might not even be the final version. There might be something bigger and better down the road where we expand. And they wanted to get in and get on board and help. And honestly, early on, who knew how many listeners were going to Frank Hawley's drag racing school to drive dragsters and spend the day with Frank and license in Frank's cars. But now, our audience is so much bigger, and we really appreciate these guys. $399, you can drive a dragster. Not everybody wants to do it, but I don't know why. Go to frankhawley.com. And Marvin Rodak, I grabbed the coffees that I'm enjoying this week. This one, DR Congo Organic, is incredible. Now, maybe that's Dr. Congo. I don't know. The Dr. Congo, like Dr. Detroit, but I think it's DR Congo. And it doesn't even matter to me because this is great stuff. Every day I get full bean, I grind it, and I enjoy it. But I fortunately, because I got a coffee sponsor, and you can do the same thing, this one, I don't even know what to say other than Ethiopia. Digima. Jima. Could be either. Full bean, ground each day by me. You can order it full bean, or you can have them grind it, which I recommend full bean because that's part of the experience, grinding your own coffee. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. And then there's Sam Tech. We'll be heading down to Houston for maybe the final time. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I made a little bit of a mistake. I'll tell you about that in a minute because there is no fourth wall. I'll let you know, right? Made a little bit of a mistake. But I'll tell you that after I tell you about Brian Massengill, Judson Massengill, Linda Massengill, and all those cars with Sam Tech on the side. They are not sponsored cars. They are the curriculum. The students are working on them. They're building the engines. They're doing the machine work at very least. CNC programming, EFI tuning. That's what Sam Tech is all about. So let's say you're 30 years old and you're thinking, what should my career be for the rest of my life? Maybe you're a veteran. Well, they're approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. You can go to Sam Tech and you can start a new career. And judging by the people I speak with on Hidden Horsepower, who are all pretty much machinists and engine builders, they love their job. Every day is different. You'll always have work. Those are really strong factors in today's world. So go to samtech.edu and get Brian Massengill on the horn. That's my new thing because we found out at PRI. He's like, I got people telling me that they heard about Sam Tech on things that we don't advertise on. And there's no real way to know. So I want you to call him and tell him it's you. And then, of course, there's our Patreon listener club, VIP Patreons. These people are amazing. Behind the scenes, they join, they get a membership. They get a little swag when they join. You can join for a year. You can join for a month. That's up to you. You get the Monday Motivation Show, which sets the table for the week. You get to participate with the Ignition podcast behind the scenes. You get to be part of the WFO advisory board when I've got big questions. I always ask the Patreons. Patreon.com/WFO radio, or just go to the website where everything exists on the website. So yesterday, talking with Alan, and what you may or may not know is that every day after the show, I go into a little bit of, oh my gosh, what did I say? Oh my gosh, what did I say? Did I say anything wrong? Did I say anything right? I didn't second guess like Ryan Ayler might have second guessed this shot, but sometimes I second guess stuff. And the rumor mill stuff about Houston Raceway Park maybe coming back for 2023, and the fact that it might come back, I got to thinking like, oh my gosh, maybe I said that's a rumor. Maybe it's not going to come back, and people are not going to go to this race thinking that there might be another one, and they'll say, oh, I'll go to the real last one and then miss the actual last one. And I felt a little guilty. Shouldn't have done that. And something else I didn't tell you about was the big return of Terry Mcmillan, which is going to happen in Virginia. Terry has been a big supporter of WFO Radio and a sponsor of WFO Radio over the years. And he and Jim and that whole team, those guys are friends. And it's really weird when someone doesn't come to the racetrack, the old out of sight, out of mind thing that happens so much that there's a cliche for it, out of sight, out of mind. But Terry Mcmillan is coming back. And he and Dan Mercier and Amalie is on board and as an associate, and hopefully that will grow. And I'm excited about it. And that was in the news, and we just didn't get to that. Sometimes that happens. But I want to make a big stink about it right now. And we will continue and hopefully have Terry on the show. The longer you go in any career, the longer the list of people who have helped you and done things over the years that might maybe be forgotten. I try really hard to not forget when people help me out. And Terry was a supporter, and they had done kind of a parts thing for a while, They stopped doing it, but they advertised on WFO, and we tried to let the world know as best as we could. Persistence beats resistance. That's what Terry said. We had a hangout in Indy in a video game area, and Terry was there. I don't know if he was there for a signing or if he was hanging out with Cam and they were playing games, whatever, but we had a great conversation. And Terry Mcmillan needs to be back out there, and Rob Wendland and those guys, they need to be out there. We need more, certainly one more top fuel car. All right, let's see what everybody's got to say as we get ready for Four-Wide Vegas. Let's get some conversation going. Your thoughts. How did Marvin Rodak find WFO in the early days? That's a great question. The answer is bacon. Bacon is the question. We talked about bacon. Me and Reinhardt, and it's kind of died down now, but it was a big thing on my WFO show on XM. I don't want to say I'm the guy who started the worldwide bacon movement, because I didn't. But talking about bacon, that's the thing, man. Me and Reinhardt have been talking about bacon for a long time. Bacon and what's better with bacon and how to make bacon better and which is the best bacon and just hundreds of different things. And we were talking about bacon, and then Rodak reaches out and he's like, hey, man, I know a bunch of recipes for bacon. You want some? And so we started to communicate. And I looked at rodakscoffeeandgrills.com and I said to him, it's like, hey, you're a listener already. You understand what our audience is, what our show is, what we're trying to do, the concept. You get it. You want to jump on as a sponsor? And he said, because I try not to be a salesperson, right? Because I, just like everybody else in the world, don't really like to be sold on anything. I like to make decisions for myself. That's just kind of my DNA. And so I floated the idea, and he has been with us ever since. Marvin Rodak, selling coffee to our WFO universe. And the bacon stuff and the techniques for grilling. I've used that up a lot. Let's see. Jim, WFO and Comp Plus are my exclusive sources for Indy. I think it's great that Comp Plus and WFO, which, by the way, Bobby, speaking of people who helped out WFO at the very beginning and still, and I'd like to think that we direct people that way also. Absolutely. But, the word exclusive, right? Should there ever be an exclusive source for info? I don't know. Think about the poor Russian people out there and their exclusive source for info. Anything else? Twitter feed. Yeah, exactly. Well, Twitter feed. People who are not on Twitter and following WFO Radio and WFO Joe and NHRA and everything else. You don't have to tweet, but you got to be on Twitter, because the day a nuclear weapon goes off, it's going to be on Twitter first. The day the aliens come and start taking people away, like in War of the Worlds, it's going to be on Twitter first. It will not get through the regular information chain fast enough for my liking. Like, you want to know in news instantly, like real, you can find it on Twitter. And that's what makes Twitter, that's why it's never going anywhere. It might not become the biggest thing in the world, but there's enough people to keep it around forever. And we are dedicated to putting the show out on Twitter as best as we can. You can follow me, WFO Joe. Jim says, you bring great integrity to our sport and passion. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate those kind words. I try my best. I've been an NHRA drag racing fan since 7 years old, when I first attended my first national event. I know that this sport is as great as any other sport or motorsport that there is. I don't want to say it's better, because the people who love those other things love them for their reasons. I've been watching Drive to Survive. Now I'm in on it. Okay, now I'm in. I'm watching. I'm binge watching. I'm going through the episodes. I'm watching Drive to Survive. And I watch those guys, and I think of how popular Formula One is and how big Formula One is and how much money is invested in Formula One and how many people are on those teams and the cutting edge razor of technology and competition and the pressure. And I think about our guys and our people, and I think, our stuff is just as good and in many ways better. What is the thing is it takes money to make money. It takes money to make money. And this sport that really started as a grassroots thing and had a sponsor that was a bottomless pit of money for a period of time, and that went away, is fighting for attention in the world right now. And I'm going to help it fight, because I like it, and I like the values, and I like the people, and I like what happens behind the scenes, things that sometimes only I get to see, and I do my best to show the rest of the world. These are good people working hard, creating businesses, giving back to our world. And, nobody's right about everything, but this is where I choose to work. I worked on NASCAR radio. I've done things with IndyCar. I've done things with sports cars. I love it all. I have a great passion for motorsports because I really believe that what you learn in motorsport exceeds what you learn in other places. And that's, by the way, what Drive to Survive really shows you behind the scenes, like how much goes into this. This is not all those football fans, and I love football as well. But, they just show up at a game and this one wins or that one wins and they're cheering for their team. There's so much more in auto racing. There's just so much more. Jay, WFO Podcast, best on the planet. Thank you, Jay. Hopefully people will see this. Democratic Republic of Congo. Right. Yeah. Thank you, Marvin. DR. Dr. Congo, baby. Yeah, I kind of look stupid right now. I'm happy about having Terry back. That's huge. Absolutely it is. It was great news to see Terry Mcmillan going to be back at least part-time. Hopefully more than part-time. And, Terry, I think that it's his own fault, man. It's his own fault. He thought he was going to walk away. You're not going to walk away, Terry. You're not walking away. Nobody's walking away. There's no walking away from this, especially after you introduce Cameron and falls in love with the sport, and then Dad's going to walk away. That's not going to happen. Don't skip a race. You'll never know if something like Englishtown could happen. One day it's there, and then the next it's not. A perfect example, Monica. And so, yes, Houston, everybody go. Everybody. Pack the house, be there for the experience. And if there's another one, then we'll do it again. And same for Joliet, everybody in that area. Go enjoy that race. And of course, Monica also agrees. Got to love bacon. Rick, good morning. What's up, Rick? Jim Essex saying what's up. He'll be out there. Ron Capps has announcements coming in the next few weeks per his reply to me on Twitter. Well, how exciting. You don't have to be a genius, guys. Not everybody spends all day long perusing the Twitter feeds for news. But if you watch the TV broadcast, and listen to Reinhardt, Loans and Reinhardt. That's all. I'm not going to say it. Loans and Reinhardt. All you got to do is just listen to them. And the truth will be revealed. I, on the other hand, am a steel vault. Cap's announcement, hope one sounds similar to Yoda, would be a great addition to that group. I don't know what you're talking about. These are not the droids you're looking for, right? Jedi craves not these things. Jedi craves not these things. And on that note, we will get on out of here for the final WFO broadcast of the week. But I really appreciate everybody out there for supporting the program. And big thanks to VP Racing Fuels, FTIperformance.com, Paul Lee. Got to have Paul on, right? Talk a little bit about the restructuring of that team, maybe after the Four-Wide. Marvin Rodak, Sam Tech, Total Seal, and Frank Hawley's. And what's been really great is that people are reaching out now, and they understand what's going on with WFO. And they want to be involved. They want access to the WFO universe. Big tweet ups, hangouts, the U.S. Nationals, and Vegas 2 for WFO Patreons. We're all going to be out there. Have fun in Vegas. Oh, I plan to. Heading out bright and early tomorrow. I got a new breakfast place that I'm going to. Not to say the peppermill is out necessarily, but I have found a bigger, better breakfast in Vegas. And of course, because I'm an East Coaster, I'll be waking up at 4 a.m. out there. And so I got plans. We're going to be doing some very interesting stuff on social media, guys. Trying something for the very first time, which hopefully you will participate in. You mean that plush Star Wars? I guess. I don't know. I'm hoping for the return of Pontiac. But that's me, because I'm a Pontiac guy. I'm hoping. To me, those were the best. Those Firebird funny cars back in the day, man. Those were the best. That's what was up. Big thanks to Matt Hagan. Hey, don't forget to hit the WFO store. Get yourself a little gear. They're having sales all the time. The other day, they had 40% off. 40%. Are you kidding me? Go to WFOradio.com and find out how to get some stickers. Thanks to Matt Hagan. for joining us on the show. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes. Congratulations to the guys, Dickie and Alex and Stretch and that whole team over there. But I want to know who's the ranking for towel whipping. Sounds interesting. WFO, guys. See you in Vegas.